And now, the Mystic Hour with Mystic Black and Nick Marcus. What is poppin', fight fans? We are back with another episode number 12, right? Number 12. I always forget. We just keep going and going and going. The numbers just keep adding up, and we're gonna be on 100. Who's counting, right? At this point, who cares? Anyways, your boy Mystic Black, Darnell Giovanni in the house, Nick Marcus, always here in the flesh. We got a special guest joining us today, the host of the Fight Podcast, one of the greatest shows, the greatest culture show, Combat Sports, baby. Serg is in the house. What's poppin', Serg, baby?
There we go, man. Gentlemen, I appreciate the intro. Like I said, man, I got to bring you guys around every time I go places, man.
Hey, I like that. Welcome to the ride, man.
Hey, gentlemen, congratulations on 12 episodes, man. That's huge. Keep it going, man. I'm loving what you guys are doing, bro.
Appreciate that. We're trying to get to your level, man. You're on what? You're in the 200s now. We're not even close.
I record tomorrow will be a 239.
239. We got a veteran.
239. Jesus, you're almost caught up with the UFC and Bellator.
With the UFC, that's right. If you start from UFC 1, it would be like the perfect numbers. That's wild. But anyways, how was your weekend this weekend, guys? Good. You guys had a great weekend. All the fights that happened.
Phenomenal, man. Again, first of all, thank you guys so much for having me on the show again, man. This is great. Yeah, man. Come on, man. Amazing fights. How can we not enjoy fight weekends, man? Like last week, it was great.
I'm saying, and there was no basketball. Unfortunately, I know that sport is gone. We still got football. We have other things that we can watch. It sucks with no basketball. I'm still riding this wave. Still riding this championship wave. It's not over. Nick, I'm not sure what heat wave is going on.
Right here, yeah.
Heat
wave is still going on. I'll tell you that much. It's hot as shit and raining outside nonstop. So there's still a heat wave.
Yeah, we got the combo. But this weekend we had some amazing fights happening. We had the Korean Zombie take on Brian Ortega, and something that we knew would be a good fight no matter what. And to be honest, it kind of was one-sided. Nick, how did you feel about Brian Ortega and how he looked differently in this fight? He did defeat Korean Zombie, by the way. I forgot to reveal that result. Spoiler alert.
No, he did. I saw he dominated from the get-go. I think it was after he landed that third round that result. And he fought really well. He came into that fight a lot more confident than I thought he would be, and it showed tremendously because, I mean, Korean Zombie's not an easy guy to make look bad. You know, like the fact that Korean Zombie didn't even necessarily have a fight or way to fight back or an answer for him. I mean, it goes to show the dominance that Brian brought to the octagon this weekend.
Serg, did you think that Korean Zombie didn't prepare for that kind of Brian Ortega? Probably thought he was going to take him down and not outstrike him for 5 rounds?
You know what, man? I think that 2 years off, I think a lot of people didn't expect to see the Brian Ortega. I mean, shit, I was wrong. I was dead ass wrong. I was looking at this fight, and the more you look at it, and again, the way we pick fights, let's keep it a bean. It's really with the information that's presented in front of us. We have this information in front of us, and we're looking at it. And if we're looking at stylistically, last time I seen Brian Ortega compete was 2 years ago, where he got his ass whooped, right? I've seen him in the past. Yo, he was getting dealt with on the feet by Clay Guida at one point in time in his career.
That's right.
You see this, and I'm seeing, the Korean Zombie coming off of, 3 straight wins. The one that he lost, he was winning until the very last second. And so with everything in front of us, I think he thought that what the rest of us did. I'm going to dominate on the feet. And, salute to Brian Ortega, man, because real quick, I mean, if you look at some of these stats that he dropped, I mean, 127 strikes, that's the most strikes that Brian Ortega's ever landed in his entire career in a fight. That's even more than the fight that he had against Max Holloway, which is incredible. That was 110. He also, on average, he only averages 33% strike accuracy. 33%, that's it. In this fight, he averaged 59% against a guy who is not only durable, who's defensively sound, man. This was an elite performance of Brian Ortega, man. I tip my hat, buddy. It's something that I totally just did not anticipate, and neither did the Korean Zombie for that matter.
Yeah, for sure. And it's crazy because I remember when Brian Ortega fought 2 years ago against Max Holloway, and Max Holloway basically gave him a striking lesson. Like, no, this is how you can do this. I remember him literally stopping in between the fight because Brian Ortega had through like a left hook and a right, and Max Holloway just stops him. He's like, no, this is how you throw it, and boom, boom, and catches him with it, which was very like an embarrassing thing to see because, you know, you want to see MMA fighters get better, and especially when you're fighting a striker. Brian Ortega could have had a better game plan, but the improvements he made in those 2 years is unbelievable. Throwing spinning back elbows, catching him really clean, and flush right in the face, and just not even letting Korean Zombie push forward. Korean Zombie was confused, and everybody kept asking, why is he not throwing more? Because he didn't know what was coming at him next. And he said after that second round, he doesn't remember a thing. Shows you how much power Brian Ortega is putting in his shots as well. So this kind of Brian Ortega, for sure, that can strike. And you know he is butter on the ground. He is butter on the ground. That's the best matchup, I think, for Alexander Volkanowski, which do you think this is the fight to make next? Serg, I'll start with you.
Of course. I mean, I think Dana White's already kind of stated that this is going to be the next matchup that's coming up. But when you look at it, this was the number one contender fight. If the Korean Zombie won, I think everybody was just like, that was a shoo-in to get a title shot against Volkanovski. We need a little bit of a break, even though I think everybody, when I say everybody, I mean everybody thinks Max Holloway won that fight against Volkanovski last time out. But it's definitely one of those that I think everybody wants a break from that matchup. We don't want three of those fights in a row. This is fresh meat. And let's just, I mean, think about it. Brian Ortega, Alexander Volkanovski, it's going to be a difficult matchup. Brian Ortega is big for the weight class.
He is.
Brian Ortega, especially now with the type of striking that he has, is going to, again, in his length. I think his length and his striking, because the thing about Brian Ortega, what I'm trying to say, the Volkanovski, when he's fighting Max Holloway, he actually has a longer reach than Max Holloway, which is incredible. On the other hand, he doesn't have a longer reach than Brian Ortega. So I'm curious to see how that's going to go. And also, Volkanovski utilizes his wrestling a lot. You're not going to play wrestle with Brian Ortega.
No way.
If you go down there on the ground with him, he's going to squeeze a boog out your nose. Like, the dude is ridiculous. So I'm curious. I think this matchup gives one life into that division. But I don't know, not only does it give life into that division, I mean, this is an exciting matchup.
Very exciting. Nick, so what, now that we have that matchup, probably that's going to happen, what do we do with Max Holloway now? What happens with Max Holloway? Oh, I think he froze.
And I'm curious.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You can hear me all right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So I think when I saw this, obviously I think we all knew that this was going to be, obviously the audition for Volkanovski for the title shot. And as much as people would like to see Max Holloway go again against Volkanovski, because we felt that he's perhaps, some would argue, last time or even both times that they fought, it's going to be interesting to say that, let's say Ortega now, when he fights Volkanovski, Ortega wins, is that bad again? Not to say that, but would that be the only way that he goes back and fights for the belt? Because they're not going to bring him back for a third try with that pair. So it's going to be interesting to do if Ortega wins. Perhaps if not, I mean, what's the story on Zabit? When is he going to fight again?
Zabit, there's no fight for him yet. They keep saying Yair, but Yair is injured. That reminds me of Tony Ferguson and Khabib. That fight's probably never going to happen at this point. They try to put that fight together so many times. Nobody knows what's happening there. I think either Zabit waits for a title shot, which I don't think he deserves yet, or he gets Holloway, or maybe who's up there? He just said he has
Calvin Kattar.
Calvin Kattar. I was about to say that.
Yeah.
Calvin Kattar said he's got something coming up soon. So I'm assuming it's Zabit or Max Holloway. He said something big. Who else is he going to face that's in that top five of that division? I think it's going to be one of those guys. So I think, Kattar's definitely up there. He's been doing pretty well and put together a really good streak. So I'm not sure what they're going to do there.
Realistically, I think it has to be Calvin Kattar if you think about it. Because like you said, Zabit and Yair are supposed to be paired off, and Yair's hurt, so that's not happening. This is Zabit's number 3, Yair's number 4. Korean Zombie just lost. They're not going to make that. Calvin Kattar is the only one that doesn't have a dance partner right now. I think that might be the only option that they're going to give him. And that would be an amazing fight. That would be an amazing fight.
I agree. One thing I want to say, and people were making this, it was a big topic on the weekend, well, especially last Friday, is Brian Ortega shaving his head. I know he said he did it for lots of love, et cetera, et cetera. I think Brian Ortega is very big for the weight class. I've seen.
Didn't he admit after the fact that he did it because he had a bad weight cut?
I never heard him say it. I didn't hear him say it. Maybe
I think in the post-fight presser afterwards, he and his team admitted it wasn't a great cut, and that's kind of one of the big major reasons why they did cut the hair. Yeah,
that's news to me right there. But that's what I said as soon as I saw it that morning. I didn't believe anything about the locks of love stuff. Like, he had a tough weight cut. He probably had to cut like a 0.5 or something, and all that heavy hair on his head. Come on now. I remember when Daniel Strauss did it in Bellator. He cut all his dreads off just to make the same weight, which is 145. That's a big thing for fighters, man. Anything they can cut 100%, that is something that they're going to do. So I wanted to address that real quick. I knew it was something with the weight and not shots of lots of love. Of course, that's an amazing
all that
foundation.
Gone in a second.
Yeah, and that's some long hair. And he was like, I understand why fighters like cut their hair like Rose Namajunas, because it just gets in your way, and then you're trying to do this and that. So I don't blame him for cutting his hair. But whatever, Brian Ortega should have been honest in the beginning. But I get it. You don't want to say that because then they're gonna think you're gonna have cardio issues from the hard weight cut. But clearly he didn't. He lasted all 5 rounds, and he looked fresh in every single round. So It didn't affect him. It almost changed my fight pick, but I'm like, nah, I still think Ortega's gonna take it. But in the co-main event, we had Jessica Andrade take on Katlyn Chookagan. My Lord Jesus Christ, what a premiere in a weight division. You can't go out better than that, Jessica Andrade. Nick, what did you see from Andrade making her debut in the UFC flyweight division, women's flyweight division?
Well, I mean, she's the ultimate professional. She came in ready, and she looked for the new weight division. She's always been really tough, and this was going to be perhaps her given new territory, but at the same time, I mean, I never see her backing anybody really. And yeah, I think that she showed in the first round, and with a button, not even a hit to the button on the chin or anything like that. With I think she hit her twice in the liver, and that pretty much did it. And with 9 seconds left in the first round. So, I mean, the bell almost saved Chookagan, but she finished her off rather quickly. It was crazy. I mean, she's just a pit bull, man. She really is. Like, when you look at her and you see how tough she is and how strong, like, even though she's tiny, she's mighty, you know?
Serg, do you think that Chookagan underestimated Jessica Andrade? It's like, she's coming from a smaller weight division. I'm bigger than her. I'm taller than her. I'm lengthier than her. I'm probably going to dominate this fight.
You know what? It's hard to say that, man, because you're talking about somebody that you never take a former champion lightly. Yeah. She's a former champion regardless. Everyone understands her skill set. Everyone understands that she's powerful. I mean, listen, and she's also not the smaller woman, especially because you remember, she used to be a 35er. You know what I mean? She's just short for the weight class, realistically. She's just short. So at the end of the day, do I believe that she underestimated her? No. But I don't think that she expected that body shot, because, my man, she came out there as a straight body snatcher. And here's the thing. You rarely ever see women finishing women with body shots. It's something that you don't see. And the fact that she's able to generate that much power, and you saw the shot, it was such a short shot. It was quick. It was short, as explosive. And the way that she did that, look at the reaction. Holy shit. The way she reacted to it. I mean, man, Jessica Andrade is a monster. She's a former champion for a reason. Now, can she get past that hurdle? I don't know. Time will tell.
I'm gonna say this. I think that Katlyn Chookagan, I know she's a serious fighter, but like, something about her just was very nonchalant about this fight. And Jessica Andrade is just not somebody you take nonchalantly, because you see the damage she's done to other women in both weight classes, from 135 and 115. I remember them interviewing Chookagan, and she said she's not trying to adjust to any of the time for sleeping. And I'm just like, you're not trying to adjust for any time for sleeping. You have to fight in the morning, woman. Like, this is going to be very weird. You're usually they're used to walking into an arena at nighttime. It's dark outside. You have to adapt to that. And she said she didn't even try to do that. So I feel like maybe she wasn't warmed up. The blood wasn't flowing, because usually you get hit by a body shot, your body's not ready for it. You're not tight in that region. So, and I've never seen Katlyn Chookagan get finished like that in the UFC. Like, she's been finished by Shevchenko on the ground, But a body shot, the only body shot I can think in the women's division in the UFC was Ronda Rousey against Sarah McMahon. That's probably the only one I remember seeing her when she needed. That was a knee. This was a punch, and it like grazed her too, and then she caught her again, and she fell straight directly to the floor. So I'm not sure what Chookigan's mind was at. She kept having the retirement talk. She was thinking about so many other things, and risky move on her part too, because she's the number one ranked fighter in that. Well, was the number one ranked fighter in that weight class, and for her to take that fight against somebody who's not even ranked in the division, which was cool on her because I hate rankings anyways. But still, you are the number one person in that weight class, and for her to take that fight was huge. And I hope to see her come back and to see her come back more focused. But for Jessica Andrade, who's now number one in the women's flyweight division, you think, Nick, well, I'll start with you, she gets a title shot next?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've kind of had this struggle with Valentina Shevchenko and Amanda Nunes, like who's going to be the one to topple them. And honestly, after Chookigan, I mean, I thought that Chookigan was going to perform a lot better given the results she had against Valentina's sister in her last fight. I thought she was going to perform much better. And I was like, maybe this is going to be this was going to be another stepping stone for her to get that rematch. But I mean, Andrade, like I said, she's not scared of anybody. She's going to go in there, and I think that now, can she do it? That's a different story. But is she willing to do it? Absolutely. I mean, this girl is absolutely fearless, and I think she's definitely going to bring some sort of a dynamic fight towards Valentina, and she's actually going to make her struggle more than perhaps anybody else in this weight division could.
So with that being said, I'm going to take a little break, and we're forgetting about somebody else who beat a number one ranked fighter in there, and that's Cynthia Carvalho. So do we see this fight instead happen? Jessica Andrade versus Cynthia Carvalho, since Carvalho's out from the coronavirus. So I think she'll be back very soon. Andrade took no damage there. Maybe we set up a fight in December. Sergio, do you see that happening, or you think Lauren Murphy, who she was supposed to fight, Carvalho was supposed to fight, who's taking a very risky fight this weekend, jumped in there too? What do you think happens next, Sergio? Since we got two.
They're going to give Jessica Andrade a title shot. I mean, she has a name. She's a former champion. Business-wise, it's easier to sell. I can sell that because everybody else, let's just be very honest. The rest of these people in this weight class are just warm bodies. That's it. They're just warm bodies to get beat up eventually by Valentina. That's all that they are. This is honestly the only person that poses a threat. And I'll be honest with you, when I say a threat, I'm like saying a 10% threat.
Because of the knockout chance.
She has, but not even. I mean, you're talking about somebody who's a multiple time world champion in kickboxing. You're talking about somebody that beat the shit out of one of my favorite fighters of all time in Joanna Jędrzejczyk, beat the brakes off of her, and that was the 5th time that she beat the brakes off of her. Let's just remember that.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? So
in Muay Thai and yeah.
Exactly. So you have this woman is going out there, and let's not forget what she, in terms of Jędrzejczyk, did to Jessica Andrade. I mean, obviously we can't always do MMA math, but in terms of what's the UFC going to do, come on, man. This I think this is easy. This is one of those that you look at it. You're going to give Cynthia Carvalho the winner of Lauren Murphy's fight. Whoever gets that, and they will be the number one contender fight. They're going to give Jessica Andrade the title shot because champion versus champion, you can sell that.
Agreed. Well, yeah, but I just think Cynthia Carvalho is up there too, who would give a really good shot at Valentina, especially in the grappling department. I feel like she can take her down, and she can work her on the ground. Cynthia Carvalho is so good. I think she's very underrated. Maybe not striking, but I think Cynthia Carvalho would give her
on the ground.
I think she is. I think she.
Valentina Shevchenko, in my opinion, is in terms of pound for pound,
good everywhere.
She's 1B. And the only reason we could even say, and let's just go. We can go through the list of some of her wins. She's dominated women on the ground. Dominated. She is a Ronin. She has no home gym. She travels around. She travels. The best work.
Which is crazy.
She is a Ronin. She is a samurai. She is the best. Again, I thought that she beat Amanda Nunes the last time that they fought.
The second time they fought, I agree.
The second time they fought, I didn't even think it was that close. I think Valentina Shevchenko, in terms of the best women of all time, is 1B. I don't think 125 is just warm bodies until Valentina and Amanda fight again. Vicente Carvalho has nothing, nothing for Valentina.
The warm bodies thing is hilarious because every time I look at that flyweight division, I'm just like, I don't want to see Joanne Calderwood versus Valentina. I don't want to see Lauren Murphy. I don't want to see Roxanne Modafferi. Like,
come
all
on.
respect to
What would she
them.
do
I
to
love
her?
I love Roxanne, the Happy Warrior, but like, you're not beating Valentina Shevchenko. It's not happening. It's just those two women up there, I feel, would present the best challenges for her. What kind of a challenge? I don't know. We'll only find out, but I'd watch those fights. I would watch those fights. There is a percentage. There's some kind of percentage. So we could agree to disagree on that one. But we'll see what happens with them. Hopefully, I know Valentina's gonna. I feel Valentina will run over Jennifer Maia. I don't even think that's gonna be close. Nobody really knows who Jennifer Maia is, to be honest. Respect to her. I know she's a fighter, but just like, I don't know. I'm not looking forward to that too much. But what I am looking forward to is this weekend, UFC 254. We have one of the biggest fights in UFC history. I think, in my personal opinion, this is the biggest lightweight fight ever to me, because of, especially competition-wise, this is somebody that can provide a big threat to somebody like Khabib. This is I know the Conor Khabib fight was a bigger, everybody wanted to watch that, casuals wanted to watch that, but for fans who are been watching this for a very long time, we know the threat that Justin Gaethje can give a guy like Khabib. Khabib has never fought somebody who has a wrestling credentials as Justin, and he's never fought somebody who has that I will die in there kind of attitude that Justin has, especially mental wise. Khabib's never fought anybody like that. I feel like a lot of these guys give up before they even get in there because it's just like, oh, I'm getting mauled. I'm out of this fight. Whatever. I'm done. Justin's not going to just lay there. That's not going to happen. But Nick, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on this fight? When you think of Justin Gaethje versus Khabib Nurmagomedov, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
I think the first thing that comes to my mind is that this is Khabib's biggest threat. I think it's the biggest. It's going to be the most difficult that he's probably ever had. So mental mindset, mindset. He's not scared of. It's true what you say. I feel that anybody walks into, even if somebody as confident as a Conor McGregor, once you get into the ring with Khabib, it kind of reminds me of 90s Tyson. Like everybody that stepped in that ring just kind of sort of knew, like the moment they stepped in there, like this is going to be done with, isn't it? And I feel that Justin is somebody who is not going to be intimidated by that. And that's why I think it's going to be his toughest opponent. And another thing I think of is obviously the emotion that's going into this, right? I mean, we all know how badly Justin wants that real title belt, not the interim title belt. And obviously we have to consider the loss of Abdulmanap, Khabib's father, that he just lost, and it's going to be the first time he fights without him. So there's so many factors going into this fight this weekend that it's giving me almost an impossible task of picking somebody for this fight.
Serg, is this? Do you think this is Khabib's toughest challenge?
I think it's his toughest challenge because it's the next challenge.
Okay.
I generally do. We go down the list.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, somebody knocked Justin Gaethje out cold, and his name was Dustin Poirier. And we saw what Khabib did to him. You know what I mean? Yes, it's a different fight. Yes, it's a different fighting style. And I think he's the next man up, which means he is the biggest challenge. In terms of wrestling credentials, Justin has the highest wrestling credentials. He's an NCAA All-American.
Yeah.
Khabib has never wrestled against an All-American.
Nope.
You have Ali Aquinta, who did some wrestling. He was like NAIA type of dude. He's had a couple other people that, Dustin Poirier wrestled in high school. And honestly, Dustin Poirier probably is a much higher wrestling acumen just because of all the work that he's done out down there in American Top Team for his entire career. So he's probably one of those guys that's a really high-level wrestler, but he doesn't have the credentials. But this is a guy that actually legitimately has those credentials, and we have yet to see that. So I think at the end of the day, we're going to see, really, how good is Khabib's wrestling really? I think that's what we're really going to find out. And I'll be honest with you guys, I think we're going to find out it's really damn good.
Khabib talked about this. When I was thinking about this before, I'm just like, yeah, Justin has all this good wrestling credentials. And then when Khabib goes, Yeah, but there's a difference between Dagestani wrestling and American wrestling. When Daniel Cormier fought Stipe Miocic, he took him down one time, and he never took him down ever again. When you have Dagestani wrestling, we're going to keep going for it. And I promise you, I'll go for it 100 times. I'm going to keep trying to take him down, and he has to be ready to wrestle for 25 minutes. Not for one round, not for one takedown. You better be ready to wrestle for 25 minutes. So when he said that, I'm just like, damn, he's kind of right when he says that with the Dagestani wrestling, because it's very different how they shoot, how they go for takedowns. It's just completely different.
True.
The Dagestanian wrist lock that they have, which is scary when especially when they're on the ground, and how he can dominate you just from a half guard position. Absolutely. It's unbelievable, that style of wrestling. So that's going to be very interesting to see. Another thing that I feel that's going to be very important here too is timing. I feel like Justin Gaethje has very, very good timing, and you saw that in the Tony Ferguson fight. He was just one step ahead of him every single time, and Tony Ferguson is no slouch. If Khabib cannot take down Justin Gaethje, it's not going to be like when he couldn't take down Al Quinta, because Al Quinta still was scared and ready to be taken down again. He wasn't throwing too many strikes or hard punches. Justin Gaethje's still throwing those hard punches in the fourth round. He is still throwing those punches. So if Khabib can't take him down, this is going to be a very weird thing to watch, and all the Khabib fans are going to be like, oh my God, he can't take him down. Like, what's going to happen here? And I'm not saying Khabib has terrible stand-up, but he definitely doesn't have as good stand-up as Justin Gaethje, and it's not something he relies on. He could have been working on a lot of things. We don't know. He didn't look bad standing up against Conor McGregor. He stood up with Conor McGregor for a full round, and Conor McGregor is one of the most accurate strikers in the lightweight division, and he did not look bad standing up against him. So let's not discredit Khabib striking at the same time too. He definitely can, level out there. So that's going to be very interesting to see. But a question I have, Serg, you think that Khabib's going to be fighting emotionally since his dad won't be there in his corner, even though his dad has only cornered him one time in the UFC?
No.
But just like thinking about that.
Khabib's a serial killer, man. Did you hear what that man said? I'm going to take him to the deepest oceans and drown him. No, he don't give a fuck. He's going to go out there and he's going to honestly do Khabib thing. I think Khabib is one of the most focused individuals, he has an idea of what he wants. He wants perfection. He wants to go out there and just dominate his opponents. And I think that he also does have his father's plan. And his father's plan was for him to be 30-0. He's not going to have a mental lapse. I think that he will use this to motivate himself. I think he'll definitely motivate himself and say, all right, this is what I got to do. And I think afterwards, maybe he'll feel the ramifications of it. But during the fight, no, man, that dude's a straight serial killer, bro. He's not going anywhere. He's going to go out there. He's going to be mad focused. And I truly believe that he will put on a stellar performance.
And speaking of father's plan was for him to fight this man next in his 30th fight and retire after. Nick, you think GSP is next for Khabib if he defeats Justin Gaethje, or does Khabib retire here, or does Khabib fight the winner of Poirier and Conor McGregor, which I don't even want to go there, but it's a thing. It's a thing, unfortunately.
Straight up.
Yeah. Kind of to elaborate before I get into that topic, kind of to elaborate what Serg was saying, I think emotion is going to be involved in this, but I think it's going to be a positive effect on him rather than a negative effect. I don't think that he's going to be going into it heavy-hearted as he would be, just of sound mind and focus like he always is, but now with more purpose as if that he's ever had before. So I think if he does win this one, I think he can do whatever he wants. If he wants to retire at 29-0 because he can't get the opponent that he wants for that 30th and final fight, then he can do that. At the same time, I don't necessarily see GSP coming out of retirement to fulfill this fight either. So I think that Khabib is somebody that commands respect, not just because of his talent, but because of his character. And I think that when you see somebody who really personifies what this whole art is about, people are going to respect that, and GSP perhaps will grant him that opportunity. Now, if it's not GSP, I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Poirier again. I wouldn't mind seeing him, finally Ferguson. But I definitely don't care to see that whole Conor. I'm sure with the whole Conor Khabib, really annoyed with the dead horse. It really is. I mean, he beat him convincingly, and not only that, but there's so much blood there that, like he said, you can give me $5 billion to fight him. You can give me the ownership to the UFC. I won't fight him because it's going to give him what he wants, and he has nothing to prove. So I think that I think it's a high possibility that GSP. Yeah, right. Exactly. It wasn't even like, oh, you got lucky or whatever. The timing was better. Like, no. I mean, McGregor looked like a fucking
amateur.
rookie
Did you wait real
in
quick?
that fight.
Did you guys see what McGregor recently put on social media? How he was like, "I won round one. Look,
the
this,
whole
and I didn't."
he did this and that. Nah, my guy, you did not. You were waiting and just to be taken down at some point in time. I give him the biggest credit I give Conor McGregor in that fight was moving forward. As soon as that fight started, he was in his face. Was it the smartest game plan? Absolutely not. It wasn't. But I give him credit.
He knows how to fight.
Yeah, it's forward, but it wasn't a smart game plan, and he ended up getting dominated pretty bad. And I don't want to see that. The Poirier fight too. Besides the guillotine that Poirier had, and like the one time he clipped him, that fight was not even close. If that went to decision, that would have been some 50-43s, like really bad. It was not close at all. So I definitely don't want to see any of those fights. I don't want to see that happen at all. I hope maybe they'll have a fight when Khabib retires, and then they can fight for that belt. But I don't need to see Khabib fight any one of those guys. Not even. I wanted to see the Ferguson fight, but after what Gaethje did to Ferguson, I don't want to see that fight anymore. It kind of deflated that idea. Ferguson did not look good. I know it's two different kinds of styles because Khabib will try to take Ferguson down, but Ferguson took too much damage. I'm scared to see how he's going to look in his next fight because there has to be some kind of like repercussions of taking those shots and just continuing for 4 rounds to keep getting hit like that. So that's going to be very interesting to see. Go ahead, Serg.
I got a hot take on what I think might happen with Khabib, okay? Because he's not fighting Conor McGregor. Whoever all Conor stands listening, y'all could just forget about that shit. It ain't happening. He's not giving my man's the fight. It's not happening at all. Dustin Poirier, he's been there, done that. We've seen that. Why would I even be excited? He's not going to be excited about that fight. I do think he gets GSP, but it's not at 55. GSP will come back and fight him at 65, and that's how they kick off 65. You can't do 55 that way, and the reason you can't do 55 is because, let's say GSP wins. He gets rid of the belt. He's gone. Khabib wins.
Run with another one.
He gives up the belt. Khabib
that's
he's
true.
Gone. So you can't. So both of them. So what are you gonna do? You open up that weight class by itself. You have them go to 65. Have them fight at 65. It don't hurt nobody. And after that, then we've seen 65. Let's open up that weight class. I think that's how they make that fight, and that's how he gets his 30th win.
I like that hot take. I like that hot take a lot. And finally, we'll see that 165-pound class open to all those in-betweener guys who can't seem to find a weight class. Rafael Dos Anjos, even Nate Diaz, Michael Chiesa, all these guys are just too big, too small for the weight class. They can't figure it out. Perfect weight class. I don't understand why Dana White is having such an issue with that. Yeah, it's wild.
Like between $190 and shit. Like, come on, man.
I feel like Dana needs to cut weight to understand like they need a 165-pound division and how hard it is for a lot of these guys to cut that. It's like you just said, Khabib walks around at 190 and has to make 155. I'm still worried to see how he's going to make weight tomorrow, how he looks tomorrow when he makes weight. He's been fine. I think he's missed weight one time in his life, and then one time he went to the hospital. But just like it's scary to see. But guys, before I go on to the next subject, you know what I need, right? I need some predictions, baby. I need some predictions. You guys got to give me some predictions. You got to give me something, Nick. I know you like to wait till the weigh-in. Sometimes I do too, but I'm here. I got my prediction. I'm ready. Serg, you can start off, and then we'll go to Nick.
I appreciate my humble hosts for allowing me to go first on this. Appreciate you, gentlemen. Look, I think this is a fight that Justin Gaethje has a lot of weapons. Justin Gaethje is someone whom I think is the best at striking off of scrambles. He's one of the only guys that I think could actually pretty much land power shots while being off balance. You rarely see that. You rarely see guys who are able to go ahead and do that. And Justin Gaethje can do that. Justin Gaethje, again, also is this All-American wrestler, man. His entire career, he's utilized his anti-wrestling, and we've never seen him being taken down. And we've we've noticed even the World Series of Fighting and everything, the way he moves, it is very conducive, and the way he cuts angles, he's a dangerous dude. Also, the way he's starting to click with Trevor Whitman is otherworldly right now, man. He's feeling it. He is on his path. This dude looks dangerous, and I say all that to say is Justin Gaethje will end up getting finished in probably the third or fourth round.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that.
Jesus Christ.
Amazing.
Look, man, I love Justin Gaethje. Look, I had to let y'all know. Look, Justin Gaethje is a problem.
What a build up.
What
an absolute build up to that.
So Serg has finished. Justin Gaethje, third
Serg
or
is
fourth
actually
round.
going to go with.
I mean, Khabib.
I'm rocking with Khabib. And the reason I say it's Khabib is this, man. Look at this. He does have great wrestling. But we always talk about his wrestling because nobody actually actively tries to take Justin Gaethje down. He's actually going to be in here with somebody who actively takes him down. The fact that he's never taken down, that means he never actually works on wrestling consistently anymore. I don't care if you were an All-American 15 years ago. That means absolutely shit to me. You're facing the best MMA wrestler in the game. We're not in a singlet right here. This is MMA. He chains his wrestling together. And also look at all the All-American grapplers, right? It's all upper body. They're using everything up top. They're keeping everything tight here. Khabib uses every bit of you. It's push-pull. If you think you're going this way, he's going to pull you back the other way. Khabib gets this W, breaks him like he breaks everybody else. Third or fourth round finish. Rear naked choke Khabib.
Oof. All right. I like it. Nick?
That's specific. That's specific. I'm still kind of recovering from that you provided us with your first take. I think, we talked about, or you had mentioned how Khabib had said that, Dagestani wrestling is different than American wrestling. And I think it goes beyond the style. I think it goes to a nurture versus nature aspect. Not to take away from American athletics, not to take away from American culture, but we tend to be a bit more coddled when it compares to the rest of the world. And I think it's because of that Khabib,
Say it.
Khabib has
Soft.
killer mentality. It's soft, I guess you could say. And I think because of that, not to say that Justin Gaethje is soft. I think that Justin Gaethje with anybody else, I give him I can have the utmost confidence in picking him. I think he is. How should I say this? He's just the epitome, and like I said, the personification of what this art is, and the respect that he commands because of his skill set, because of his character, all of which was built from his environment, right? And and on top of that, like I said, the emotion that's going behind with his father's passing is just going to be a motivator for him, as if he needed any, because he doesn't, because he's just that focus of a fighter. So as far as when he'll finish him, or if it goes, I can't give an exact prediction, but I think that this is one of those fights where Gaethje gets finished. However, I will say though, I think that Gaethje is going to give him some trouble. I think that he's actually going to drag this fight out longer than most people will anticipate.
All right. So I guess I'm up next. Khabib, the Eagle, Nurmagomedov, one of the greatest fighters, the pound for pound best fighter in the UFC besides John Jones. Khabib Nurmagomedov. Yep. He is ranked number one. He takes down anybody at will whenever he wants. He dominates him on the ground. He talks to him when they're on the ground. When he brought up that point about Dagestani wrestling and American wrestling, I just was like, oh my God, he is so right. I watched so many of his fights. I watched so many of Justin Gaethje's fights. I watched a lot of more recent Justin Gaethje's fights and how he's been fighting more smarter and not getting hit and giving more of the damage. I know he got rocked one time by Tony Ferguson, but in this fight against Khabib Nurmagomedov, my friends, Saturday, October 24th, will be a moment in history because Justin Gaethje will find the timing and he is going to TKO Khabib Nurmagomedov in the 4th round. You heard it right here. We'll review this tape when it comes out on Sunday, and the results are there. He is going to finish Khabib Nurmagomedov. He is going to struggle to take him down. When I said timing, Justin Gaethje's timing will be so on point. He's listened to every single thing that his coach Trevor Whitman has said. I've never seen Justin Gaethje fight that clean. And I said this before he came in the UFC. If that man changes his style and stop getting hit, he's the most dangerous fighter in that division. The most dangerous. He's been taken down for 17 seconds total in his whole fight career. I agree with Serg. Not that many people have tried to take him down, but Khabib is going to try to take him down. It's going to be very difficult. Justin Gaethje is very good at scrambling. He's going to be scrambling the whole entire time. That's going to get Khabib a little tired, which he has been getting a little tired in some fights, especially with this big weight cut. I feel like he was walking around a little heavy too, so the weight cut's going to affect him. 4th round.
Huh? How you gonna say that?
I'm gonna say what?
We don't know. You're gonna say he's walking around heavy.
He looked a little. He looked a little heavy in the previews.
He's been in shape. Come
on,
man.
In the previews,
now you just trying to throw shit in there to get your point across.
He's looking a little heavy in those previews from a long time ago. His face was looking a little heavy. I'm just like, ooh, is Khabib walking around at 195 right now? I don't know. But we're going to find out tomorrow when we see him at the weigh-ins. That's going to tell us a lot. But I got Justin Gaethje, 4th round, TKO. Book it. Book it.
Look, man.
Right. Listen, I'll tell you this. Go ahead. I was going to say, I'll say this, right?
Okay.
I think it's cutting off.
I think that Khabib is good. I think you guys hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now. Nope.
Go ahead, sir. Say what you're going to say. I think he's got to restart.
No, look, I'll be honest with you, man.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't give Khabib striking enough credit.
I
think
that guy was saying before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Khabib. And here's the thing. This is the reason I think that he'll end up getting Justin is because Justin's not going to be able to set his feet. The way Khabib feints, and it's very, very similar to the way Volkanowski and those guys at City Kickboxing and are doing it. He's constantly feinting. And the more he sits there and feints, you have to react. You can't get your shit off because of that. And again, I look at it and I'm looking at the striking. I mean, Justin Gaethje's style is very, very similar to Dustin Poirier. I'll be honest with you. Dustin Poirier is a better striker than Justin Gaethje. Dustin Poirier has better footwork than Justin Gaethje. Conor McGregor is a better striker than Justin Gaethje. Conor McGregor has some of the best timing, if not the best timing, out of any fighter in the world. Al Iaquinta is a beast on the feet. And here's the thing. All of them succumb to the exact same thing. Not saying that it can't happen, but when can he catch him? Look, man, everybody got a shot. The Miami Heat had a shot to beat the LA Lakers. Guess what? It was a puncher's chance, and that's all you.
Like, this is when I had to come back.
Right in between that, we just lost Sergio. Hopefully, we get him back. But go ahead, Nick.
Okay, so anyways, I was saying that as much as I believe that Khabib will win this fight, I also believe that, or something that has my curiosity is, let's say that Justin does go ahead and win this fight. Does Khabib retire, or does he keep on fighting because he no longer has that elusive 30-0 record? So that's my question. And if that's the case, that he wants to continue fighting, then I mean, as much as, like I said, I believe that Khabib is going to win this fight. If he loses, if that means that he's going to fight longer, then I'm actually kind of down for that, because I mean, I would love to keep watching Khabib fight for more than just these next 2 fights.
Yeah, I think if that happens, if he does lose, they give him an automatic rematch because he's never lost. Just like they gave Cody Garbrandt automatic rematch against CJ Dillashaw. Anderson Silva automatic rematch against Chris Weidman. Why not give Khabib an automatic rematch? He's never lost before. So I think that would happen. And he'd be okay taking a loss. I don't think he has any issue taking an L. I'm pretty sure he's taken an L in Sambo, in the wrestling before. So it's something that can happen to him.
Right.
And he'd be all right. Yeah. So I don't think it would be too big of an issue.
I don't think that it would phase. Right, exactly. It would phase him so much that he would feel like anything like that. I think he just gets back in it. Obviously, if it were to happen, with more preparation for the next time. But if what you say happens, that's going to be actually pretty quick. That's going to be pretty crazy. It's going to be almost like when everybody thought with different characters, but Rousey was just going to keep it going. And home got her with that knockout. I think it would be akin to that type of situation where everybody would just be shocked.
Absolutely. And we have a good co-main event on this card as well. Robert Whittaker is going to be taking on Jared Cannonier in basically the number one contenders fight to fight in the Israel Adesanya's sweepstakes for that 185-pound middleweight UFC title. This is going to be a really good one. Robert Whittaker came off fresh off the win against Darren Till, fought him for 5 rounds. Now this is going to be a 3-round fight, so maybe Robert Whittaker can push forward more. Jared Cannonier fought heavyweight, fought in light heavyweight. Now he's a middleweight, has not lost at middleweight, and has looked amazing and has finished every opponent in this weight class. Nick, how do you see this fight going?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's kind of exciting, but I think that Whittaker is probably going to be the one that has the advantage given the amount of time that he hasn't had as much of a hiatus as Cannoier has, right? I mean, Cannoier lost. Not lost. He last fought in 19. I think it was 2019.
You're good, Serg.
Injury, I believe it was. So I think Whittaker's going to have the advantage here, especially having just recently fought Till and beating him convincingly. And I think that he really is hungry for that second opportunity to take the belt back from Adesanya and get that rematch.
Serg, I was saying, Cannoner, heavyweight, light heavyweight, middleweight.
Right.
He's never lost at middleweight. Can you hear me?
Yeah, my
Good?
bad. I'm just
No.
saying, for some reason my freaking headphones weren't. My computer in the middle of us talking decided to update for some strange reason.
You can't trust this technology these days. It's just wild.
So, yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah,
No, you're all
I've been
good.
having technical difficulties as well. So
It's okay. Serge, do you think
Yes, sir.
if Robert Whittaker beats Jared Cannonier, he gets that rematch against Adesanya? Or if Whittaker takes this, he gets that title shot, of course,
Man.
or Adesanya fights John Jones or somebody else.
It'll be really difficult for the UFC, I think, not to give it to him. I think that Robert Whittaker is such a star, especially in the Oceanic region in which the UFC is really trying to go ahead and continue building what they're doing. But, I mean, let's just be honest. When we go ahead and actually look at the weight class, who else would they give him? I honestly believe that at the end of the day, I mean, look, Jack Hermansson's great. But, I mean, he just got KO'd by Jared Cannonier. That wasn't that long ago. Do you know what I mean? If Darren Till had won his fight, I think they would have given it to possibly Darren Till. But as of right now, I mean, man, I look down the list. If you go through the light heavyweights, first of all, Adesanya has beaten most of the people in the top 10. That's crazy when you actually look at it. He's beaten most of the guys in the top 10 already. Think about it. Let's just go down the list. He's beaten Gastelum, Derek Brunson, Yoel, Costa, Robert Whittaker.
Twice.
Those are the top
Well,
guys
twice.
in the weight. Yeah, man. These are the best guys in the weight class. So at the end of the day, when you actually look at it for Adesanya, who do they give him? Who do they give him? You know, so if it's not Jared Cannonier, it might be John Jones.
As much as I'd love to hear that fight, I'm starting to get sick and tired of these guys Twitter battering every weekday
That shit cracks me
night,
up.
2:00 in the morning. It's funny, but like I'm just tired of it. If you guys are not gonna fight, stop talking about it. Especially John Jones, who I know is going at heavyweight. Even though they can find a middle ground for a weight class for sure, because John Jones not that big of he won't be that big of a heavyweight anyways. But back to this middleweight fight. I think that Cannonier is a very interesting fight for a guy like Israel Adesanya because Cannonier is good everywhere. He's very good everywhere, and he's he's a guy that's taking shots from heavyweights. Like when he fought Sean Jordan, I know Sean Jordan finished him, but just like my God, man, he was fighting a lot of these bigger guys. At 205, he was fighting bigger guys, and now he's at middleweight. And I don't think a guy who used to be a former welterweight and Robert Whittaker, respect to him, I think he's a great fighter, is gonna do anything different that Jared Cannonier hasn't seen before. And I think the only way that Robert Whittaker beats Jared Cannonier, as good of a striker as Robert Whittaker is taking him down and showing him complete mixed martial arts game. And I think that Robert Whittaker has that in him. He took Darren Till down. He dominated him on the floor for a couple of those rounds. And I think that would be a smart game plan for him because he doesn't want to get caught. He got caught versus Till. He got finished by Adesanya. Yoel has caught him before too. So there's only so many times you can keep taking shots like that. And we know Jared Cannonier is a very heavy-headed guy. and he's a guy that can throw as much as he wants because he doesn't have to cut that much weight to make this weight class, which is wild. If you've been watching the embedded, he is in shape. He said he probably has to cut 1 or 2 pounds before he steps on that scale. And that's amazing right there. That shows you his conditioning and his mindset is in a different space.
Let me ask you this real quick. I just want to get your thoughts on who do you think is a better grappler, Jack Hermansson or Robert Whittaker?
A better grappler. I think Hermansson is the better grappler in the sense of he has more submissions. He goes for him. We've never seen Robert Whittaker do that, but we've seen Robert Whittaker defend takedowns against the likes of Yoel Romero, Yoel Romero, even though Yoel Romero is not one to try to take somebody down too much, he doesn't use his wrestling as much as he should. When he did it against Robert Whittaker was stuffing all his takedowns. So I can give him that in that standpoint, but I think I would say Hermansson. What do you think?
Well, the reason I say it because I agree with you. I do believe Jack Hermansson's the better grappler of the two, and that's the reason I bring that up is because Jack Hermansson usually shoots in, takes his opponent down, and gets that finish. That's his bread and butter.
Absolutely.
That's how he beats people. He tried to do that to Jared Cannonier. Jared Cannonier shucked his ass off and gave him the uppercut from hell. So you know what I'm saying. So when you look at a dude like him, man, I think he presents so many issues for Robert Whittaker, and I'm just the way that Robert Whittaker. I'm never going to say that Robert Whittaker overlooks anybody. He's a champion. He has that pedigree. He's going to go in there focused every single time. But the way that he is dismissive of Jared Cannonier's skill set is a little concerning to me, because the last time I heard him be that dismissive to somebody's skill set was against the champion Adesanya, and we all remember what happened there.
That's correct. And guys, you know what time it is. I know you guys are ready. You know what's coming. You know what I need. I need those predictions, baby! And I will start first this time, and I'm going to say we are going to see Israel Adesanya against Jared Cannonier in February for the UFC middleweight championship. Robert Whittaker, one thing that I saw in his last fight that I didn't like, he kept throwing those jumping hooks. That's not going to work against Jared Cannonier. Jared Cannonier is going to catch him. I think he TKOs him. I don't think Robert Whittaker can keep taking those shots anymore. It's getting a little harsh to see it. It's hard for me to say that because Robert Whittaker is such a nice guy, good-spirited gentleman, family guy, but I don't see him getting past Jared Cannonier. Nick, what do you got for me?
Not official yet. I gotta know me. I like to wait for the weigh-ins, but I still think that Whittaker takes this one. I think that Whittaker takes this one for basically what I said before. I think he hasn't had as long of a hiatus. I think that he's really itching to get back to going for that title and having that rematch with Adesanya. So I think that he's gonna take this one. Not to say that he's gonna take it easily or lightly, but I can envision him winning this one.
Serg, what you got for me, baby? Lay it on me.
Come on, man. We got to rock with the Killer Gorilla.
Gorilla.
When I look at this fight, man, I only see it happening one way. Think of the people who have really been a problem for Robert Whittaker are people who are just physical. If you're just a physical beast of a man, I mean, he really struggles because he can't dictate certain things. He can't dictate the pace. And when you actually look, if anyone's paying attention to Jared Cannonier's last few fights, we're acting as if Robert Whittaker is a better striker than, I don't know, Anderson Silva? Last time I checked, Jared Cannonier got him the fuck out of there too.
That's right.
So when I look at this stuff, it's just like Jared Cannonier. And first of all, I think that Robert Whittaker is a very nice guy. I think he's one of the most overrated fighters and overrated champions in UFC history. Oh my God, they ride his jock so much. That dude is mad overrated. And I'm gonna be honest with you, man. When I see it, I see him getting KO'd bad in this fight.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. That's what I see happening, unfortunately. Speaking of KO'd bad, well, not KO'd bad, submitted. In Bellator, we had Chris Cyborg dominate in her first title defense against, what is this? Arlene Blencow. Not too 100% about her. I know she's a boxer. She's a former boxer. So I think they were trying to do the striker thing, but of course Cyborg took her to the ground, which she doesn't usually do, and she submitted her and getting her first submission victory in her career. Bellator is running out of people to give Cyborg. I don't know how many Cyborg fights I want to watch unless it's against Kat Zingano. Like maybe I definitely watch that, but like she dominated her. Is there anything left for Cyborg in that division, or for her to maybe go back to the UFC somewhere else? Nick, what do you think? I'm you know how I feel with Bellator matchups. As much as I respect the fighters there, I don't know. I'm fed up.
I think it's sort of one of those end of the line things, right? Like you're just kind of, it's one of those movies that just goes on and on and on, and then they just literally cut the ending to for you to perceive it how you want. And I think that's exactly what's happening here. I mean, she doesn't really have to fight anybody else. I don't think that she's going to be getting anybody else that's going to give us really an entertaining fight. But I mean, obviously, if she's going to get opportunities to get paid, she's going to keep it going as long as she can. So,
True.
As far as my interest, I could give a shit. No offense.
Serge, do you see Cyborg going against Kat Zingano in her next title defense? Is that the only person left for her in that 145-pound division? Or do you see maybe a Kayla Harrison coming into Bellator since she was having problems with PFL and maybe taking on Cyborg in that division? That's an interesting matchup.
Honestly, that would be the fight that I would actually want to see if it happens. But I'm gonna be honest. And here's the thing: Bellator and Sky Coker are very open to cross promotion.
Yeah,
we've seen it happen time and time again. And honestly, especially with PFL wanting to hold on to their asset, because let's just be very honest, Kayla Harrison is the face of the PFL.
Yep,
that is their major asset. I think specifically to get their name out there, they might do that. Especially because they haven't had a season. They haven't competed all year. This might be a great way to get people back interested in the PFL. I honestly believe what's going to end up happening, though, is that they're going to, because Bellator's already talked about this, I think they're going to end up allowing Cyborg to do boxing. I think they're going to allow her to box and have a.
Are you saying Clarissa Shields? Is that what I'm hearing? Clarissa Shields?
They're buddies. They're good buddies.
They're too close. They're too close.
They're good buddies. I couldn't see that happening. Granted, I have my own thoughts about Clarissa Shields recently. The fact that Clarissa Shields was up to almost 200 pounds, she was like 195 pounds. That's not professional, man. That's not how champions act. And she's making excuses of the pandemic and shit. Look, man, I had the pandemic too. And I'm ripped up right now. So
hey, let's go.
You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, son. You know what I mean? Like, we can't have this. And again, it's not bashing, because at the end of the day, we all understand that I love her skill set. But just talking about that real quick, it's just I don't appreciate when fighters, like, that's why I'm not a fan of like Tank Davis. You miss weight, I'm not a fan of yours. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. Yeah.
So for me, it's like, 'cause that's your only job. So I see her boxing. I think that's what they'll end up doing with her. The Kat Zingano fight, yeah, that's probably the next one, though. That they'll probably make the Kat Zingano fight next, and she'll beat the shit out of her, and then she'll go to boxing.
Yeah. Speaking of boxing, we had a really good anticipated fight this past weekend. Vasily Lomachenko, who is pound for pound the number one fighter in a lot of people's mind, and a lot of people's rankings, took on Teofimo Lopez, who is a 23-year-old phenom. He wasn't favored to win the fight. Lomachenko was. And Lomo came into that fight. And for the first half of that fight, I didn't understand what the mindset or what the game plan was. I never seen Vasily fight this way ever before. I don't know if there was because there was no crowd. I don't know because it was just like a different like stage for him, or he was maybe nervous to fight a young kid who's KO'd a lot of people. What happened with Loma there, Serge? What went on?
I'll tell you exactly what happened. At the end of the day, he the exact same way that Khabib idolizes and listens to his father, Lomachenko is the exact same way. If you were watching the fight and you actually listened to the corner, Papachenko was literally sitting there telling him, "Chill out, don't go yet." He was pulling him back the whole time. As much credit as we love giving Papachenko, I'm putting a lot of this on Papachenko.
Yeah.
Literally, Lomo started fighting because he was the one that said, "Hey, man, I got to go." Yeah. And he started competing. He started going. And let's be very honest. I mean, we look at that. Yes, he won the fight in terms of Lopez. But on a lot of people's scorecards, when you go in, and I've watched this fight multiple times, this is a draw. And at the very best, this is a 1-point win for Teofimo Lopez. So, I mean, it is what it is. It was a great fight. What I saw was two things. I saw a fighter that, one, waited too long to go, and I saw another fighter that's big for the weight class. If you were looking at them standing next to each other, it generally looked like two guys that were in two different weight classes. But with all that being said, there was only one fighter in that ring that got beat up that night, and that was Teofimo Lopez.
I agree. And just like we were talking about before, it's crazy how I was telling all my friends, like, you got to watch Vasily. You're going to see how he's going to make this guy look. He's going to make him miss. He's going to make him just like look like a terrible fighter. Mm-hmm. And then we watch the fight, and I'm just like, guys, I swear to God, this is not how he fights. I promise you, this is not how he fights. He is just so much better than this. And I agree with you with his Papachenko just like telling him the wrong things to do in the beginning of that fight. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens next with him. I don't see why not. Why not run that fight back, just like it did with Andrade?
Teofimo said he's not giving it to him.
That's wild.
Teofimo said, nope, I beat his. He said, literally, and I quote, he said, I whooped his ass. Now I'm the king. He's not getting a rematch. That's weak sauce to me.
That's very weak sauce to me, too.
He did not have to give you that shot. And now the fact that because that tells me a couple different things. If you were that confident, look at how Tyson Fury handled Deontay Wilder. I'll fight this motherfucker tomorrow. Let's go.
Do it again.
I'll do it again. Let's do it. Let's do it again.
Do it again.
That tells me that he's not confident. That tells me that he also was just like, I'm glad I got that through that one. Now I got the name recognition. And here's the thing. I'm a Teofimo fan. I've been fanboying for Teofimo from the jump. And when I heard that, that hurt my heart so much. What? Because what you're telling me now is that you're not acting like a heart of a champion. Because here's my thing, and this is my question to Teofimo. It'd be, because you're going to take an L eventually. Because in combat sports, everybody gets touched. It is what it is. Once that eventually happens, you're going to want a rematch. How you going to feel when that dude says, nope, I'm the king now, peace out? You know what I'm saying? You're setting a terrible precedent. And he set a great precedent at first when he said everybody wants to be Manny Mayweather, but you got to be Pretty Boy first. Well, guess what? Pretty Boy would have fought his ass again, because guess what? Pretty Boy did fight his ass again.
That's right.
In those early fights that people thought were close, what did Pretty Boy do? He said, fine, I'll do it again.
I'll do it again.
And he won more convincingly. Guess who's not doing that now? And that's Teofimo. I don't like it. It's leaving a bad taste in my mouth. And at the end of the day, it's one of those things that I'm just like, dog, you can have it.
And I feel like they'll throw money at him, and he's going to end up fighting him. I think he will. And if he doesn't, it's going to look very, very bad on him. And I hope he doesn't do that to his legacy. You just had a very big win. Follow it up. Keep it going. I think. Can you do it again? Possibly. I don't know. You did it the first time. It's possible that you could do it the second time. So I hope he fights him again. I know it's going to take a while because you know how boxing goes. But I just hope they don't wait too long, and then Vasily's too old, and then they don't fight each other at the prime. I hope it happens at more fast.
31 years old.
31 years old.
Making it seem like his ass is 40.
40. He's not.
He has a decade left to continue competing. People need to relax.
100%. Guys, I forgot to bring up one thing before we go here. Michael Chandler is over there in Abu Dhabi preparing for this fight as he's going to fight one of these guys. What do you guys think that he's learning from this experience being in Abu Dhabi? Nick, I'll start with you.
I'm sorry, you were cut out there for a second. Michael Chandler is in Abu Dhabi. What was it you said after?
What do you think that he's learning from this experience being over there, the whole UFC experience compared to Bellator?
Oh, I mean, now he's learning that he's on the biggest stage. I mean, I don't know if everybody has seen this whole Declassified documentary, the 4-part series of Fight Island that ESPN put out, but of production and preparation that this top from this I mean, there's nothing compared to it. I mean, that's not a knock at all the others, but I mean, it's just, it is what it is. And I'm sure he's actually loving it. And I'm sure he's itching to get a fight. And I'm sure, that he's going to get one soon enough. I hope it's not this weekend because I want to see, obviously, Khabib and Justin fight. But I mean, I guess it's like when you lay, everything else is ground beef. So I think that he's finally at the top and will be for quite some time.
Sir, do you think him having to cut all that weight is smart for him to do, even though he's not going to fight?
I mean, of course.
Is it worth it?
Yeah, of course it's worth it. Because at the end of the day, if he ends up, not if one of them pull out, he has a title shot right off the bat. And if he makes weight, he gets paid. He gets show money. So of course it's a good idea to get paid. And more importantly, it's recognition. He's going out here. He's getting the most recognition that he's ever gotten. He's doing amazing in terms of all his media obligations. So it's for him. It's a great opportunity. I make weight. I get a free trip to Dubai. I get to kick it. I get to watch some dope ass fights, and I get to get my name out there. And I get to see that, man, the UFC is the shit.
Absolutely. And I think, yes, getting paid to make weight, nothing wrong with that. Unlike Tony Ferguson, who did it for no money. He made 155 twice within a month. Not smart. But Michael Chandler doing that for actual money, good idea. That's going to work out well for him. He's seeing that experience of being in the UFC, what he's been missing out on the longest time. I've been begging him from afar to join the UFC. Finally, we're getting this. It's still going to keep him up there within that top 5 because I feel the UFC is paying him a lot of money, and they're not going to pay him that much money to fight Islam Makhachev. As good as Islam Makhachev is, and I know they wanted him to fight him, that wasn't going to happen for a specific reason of they're paying him too much money, and he's very marketable, and they want to put him against somebody who's just as marketable as well. So
I fight Paul Felder.
I think that would be a great fight. But does Paul Felder
that'd be a good fight?
Does Paul Felder still want to fight though?
Yeah, no. Paul Felder says he's all about that life. He still,
I don't see why not.
Is active. He still wants to fight. Yeah, man. He's not taking a step away now, man. I think he wants it. And if he gets a win like a Michael Chandler, he wins that. He's right in the title picture. I think that me personally, I think that's like the best option.
I think Charles Oliveira would be a great option for Michael Chandler too.
Down to take a new
Michael Chandler.
Right. The way that Charles Oliveira has been fighting lately, I'm struggling to see who beats him, which is crazy. I would never have that thought in my mind about Charles Oliveira like a year and a half ago when he couldn't make weight every single time, struggling against these strikers. And look at him now. Look at where do you
legitimately be champion?
Yeah, where does he get beat? Now that he can strike, there's nobody's beating him on the ground. That's not happening. That is not happening. So that's going to be very interesting to see. But guys, it is that time. I appreciate you guys, of course, for coming on. We got a big fight weekend this weekend, UFC 254, Khabib Justin Gaethje. It's going to be huge. The card starts at 10:30 a.m. If you are on the East Coast. It starts at 7:30 a.m. If you're on the West Coast. I can't tell you the other start times, but it's going to be at a different start time, guys. The main card starts at 2 p.m. Eastern time, 11 o'clock West Coast time. So make sure you guys wake up, have some brunch, pop some champ, do something different. It's going to be a different kind of fight morning this time. Thank you, Sergio, for coming through, man. We appreciate you. Subscribe to the Fight Podcast, Instagram, YouTube. It's on the podcasting stream. It is there. Of course, subscribe to us, Mystic Black MMA. We are here every week, every Thursday, sometimes other days. It doesn't matter. We're going to be here during that week, and we're going to have so much to talk about next week, of course, with the results. Sergio, if you have anything to say, the platform is yours.
No, man. Yo, thank you guys so much for having me once again, man. I always have a great time. Like I said before, man, this is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to create our own communities and get this stuff rocking. And this is how we do it, man. And I love what you guys are doing, and this is awesome. This is how we grow in this industry. You know what I'm saying? So I think this is super dope. Salute to you guys. Salute to your guys, listeners. Like you said, please go ahead and listen to the Fight Podcast. We're on all streaming platforms. Check out our IG, all that good stuff. We have a mailing list. Check us out on there. You can subscribe to the mailing list as well. And
dope Spotify playlist as well every week.
Yeah, check out our Spotify playlist. We go out here and drop some fire for you guys. You know what I'm saying? We got to keep the music going and get us through these difficult weeks. But all in all, man, amazing fight weekend, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time today.
Absolutely. Nick, any shout outs before we go? You heard me?
Yeah, my apologies for all the internet. Yeah, my apologies for all the internet issues I've been having today. I feel like my game is so off. I don't even know if I'm on or if I'm not. So just my apologies to everybody who's had to go through listening to me today. But at least this isn't bad. Actually, two guys know what they're talking about. Especially you and Serg. And yeah, I mean, this is what it's all about. Just helping each other out. And then speaking of community, just want to go ahead and say it again. Everybody, don't forget to go out and vote. It's that time of year. It's that time of, we're in an election year and everything. And most importantly, don't just focus on the presidents. I think there's a lot of things that a big mistake that people make is that they just vote for the presidents and that's it. Vote for your local representatives. Vote for your amendments, for your, do the research, be informed. Don't rely on people just to, spoon feed you information. Go out there, do your own research, make your decision. And yeah, guys, it's an important one. And like I said before, don't vote, don't complain.
That's right. Don't complain. Yeah, but if you're not gonna vote, don't complain. Don't want to hear it. Just go there, go do it. Doesn't take that long. Max hour to go vote. You've done things for longer times. You waited for contracts. You waited to buy sneakers. There's so many things. Sergio already voted. I'm voting tomorrow. I'm gonna get that in. I appreciate you guys. Mystic Black MMA, the Mystic Hour. We are out, guys. Have a great weekend. Maybe we'll pop up on Saturday and talk on Instagram Live. I don't know. We'll see. We'll get crazy. You guys have a great weekend. We are out. Boom.